Hello and welcome to WNHH FM's Dateline New Haven. I'm your host, Paul Bass, inviting you to look behind the headlines on the stories that make our community tick. Today we're going to talk about crime and punishment, reconsidered, and giving New Haven the business. We're going to look at some local headlines, get a little bit beyond them, and then play some of my favorite local music. Recordings by New Haven area musicians like the Afro-Semitic Experience, which you hear in the background right now, playing Eliyahu Hanavi. Well, the headline folks are talking about from yesterday involves a former member of the Latin King gang. His name is Luis Noel Cruz. In 1994, 24 years ago, he committed one of the higher profile double murders in New Haven that decade. He killed a fellow Latin king he thought was a snitch, and the son, he didn't know it at the time, the son of a New Haven police detective who was hanging out with that guy. He was not a Latin king, but he was a witness to what was going on, so he killed him too. Now, at the time, Luis Cruz was 18 years old, and he got a life sentence. It was a particularly brutal murder. Then he lied about being involved, and 2 years later, he continued to lie about being involved, and he got the book thrown at him. Now, why are we talking about it now? Because since that day, that was the toughened crime period when we had long sentences, locked people up as long as possible. And obviously, we revisited that about nonviolent crimes and drug crimes. But we've even, and this is less known, we've had a shift in our criminal justice system about how we deal with young people committing violent crimes. Even the U.S. Supreme Court, with a conservative majority in 2012, set new rules out. That's why we're hearing again about Latin King Luis Cruz. There became a consensus that when kids commit crimes, or even young adults, when their brains aren't fully formed, they should pay consequences, and society should be protected against them at the time. But that we shouldn't throw them away forever. We shouldn't lock them up forever. That they change, and they deserve another chance. So that was the context. Luis Cruz is now admitting, finally, 24 years later, he committed this brutal double murder. And he wanted a judge to say, to agree not to lock him up forever. He had his day in court yesterday, Tuesday, in U.S. District Court on Church Street, New Haven. He came for Judge Janet Hall, a very thoughtful, deliberative judge, compassionate and committed to the law. I think she's very respected. And it was a passionate argument. You can read more about it in The Independent Day by Chris Peake. But it really brought this question up about to what extent do we revisit the sentences, the life sentences for young people who commit violent acts. So Luis Cruz was a few months past 18 years old at the time he committed the murder. The Supreme Court case in 2012 that changed the rules, Miller versus Alabama, involved a 14-year-old who had committed a brutal murder and, like Cruz, got life in jail without parole. The Supreme Court decided that was cruel and unusual punishment in violation of the Eighth Amendment. It said, from now on, when you got a minor, don't put him in jail forever. Now, it got trickier since then because they decided who was a young person whose brain is not fully formed should not be held responsible for life for his acts. Now, people are saying that that could be up to 24 years old. And I can understand that. I think about drivers. I've always felt that male drivers should not be allowed to take the wheel until 25. They're just reckless and they don't think of consequences and their brain just isn't formed right. Separate question, less important. Although I think life and death involved there too in this one. So this guy Cruz, because he had been a little over 18 but not 24, got the hearing before Judge Hall. Now, the family was there of one of the victims, Tyler White, the son of the police detective, and the brother, older brother of a woman who's now a very respected police detective. The detective, the father is retired, Billy White. Elizabeth White's doing a great job, very highly respected police force. But she went on the stand and recalled seeing her brother's head partially gone. How she'll never forget that. And how this murder to this day haunts this family, and they want to see this guy locked up forever. Then there was a social worker who said, in fact, this guy's changed a lot. Other people said this too, that he has become a model prisoner. He's not the person he was. And he deserves at some point to get out of jail. The U.S. Attorney's Office, John Durham is the U.S. Attorney here, very much wanted him kept in jail for good. Judge Hall said she understood the pain of the family. She felt that the new rules required her to lessen the sentence. So this guy got his break. He still could be in jail a long time. Got a 35-year sentence. But that means he will be out. He could be out in as soon, well, at the latest, in another 11 years. He'll be in his 50s. But he'll have some time left in his life to go free. Very emotional day in court. And not just about emotion, but really legal theory. And what values we have as a society and how we consider how long we lock people up, second chances. And so that's what you've been hearing. Now I'm going to play a local song by Tabiza. We play her on high rotation. She lives in Westville, came from South Africa. This is one of her great songs. And it's called... Ooh, hold a second. I'm going to have to... Harry, it doesn't work. I put up Logic. It got feedback. Oh, okay. I got the wrong button there. Now we're going to get it right. Harry Joe's informed me. We're going to hear Tabiza playing. Still can't hear it, Harry. Okay, my apologies. Some people... Oh, wait. It's back up now, it looks like. Nope. Some people were not able to hear that song from the Bees. And my apologies. It's Paul Bass on Dateline New Haven. We're playing local music and local news. Well, local music when you can hear it. Understand it was just visible, audible on Facebook Live, but we had a technical screw up, and our listeners on the radio did not hear that. My apologies. We're talking about local headlines, and we're talking about crime and punishment and justice reconsidered. I just spoke to you about a Latin king who committed a double murder, was sent away for life, but he's now got a second chance. He's going to be out after 35 years because of new rules about what's cruel and unusual punishment and sentencing people who commit violent crimes when they're young. And now I want to talk about white-collar crime, because that, I believe that people cause damage. They destroy people's lives and communities, get away with it in this country in ways that other people don't. And I'm thinking specifically about a man named David Lehman. Now, he's not a household name. He didn't shoot anybody, but he played a direct role in lying, cheating, pilfering, and stealing, and helping to cause the greatest recession since the Great Depression. He was an executive at Goldman Sachs, and he cooked up a scheme where they bought a whole bunch of bad debt, bad mortgages, millions and millions of dollars, and then they lied to their own customers and told them to invest in these mortgages, in these bundle mortgages they call CDOs. And even though they knew that they were going down the drain and were going to be worthless, so they made money from their customers investing in that. And at the same time, they were betting against their own investment so they would make money when it went south. They at that same time, that was the kind of stuff. It was done on a big scale. And this guy specifically cooked this up and then went to Congress and lied about it. He told his customers, "We hear on the street this is a good investment." And when he went before Congress trying to figure out how the Great Recession happened, they asked him, "What does it mean on the street?" And he said, "Well, that meant in our own offices." In other words, they lied and misled people. So anyway, this guy didn't go to jail, even though so many people lost their homes in the Great Recession. So many people lost their jobs. They lost their life savings. The economy crashed. No one went to jail for their role in destroying the economy by lying, cheating, stealing. And but this guy, instead of going to prison, he's going to look like be a state official. Governor Ned Lamont, he's our new governor from Greenwich, an inherited wealth, multimillionaire, who's brought on a hedge fund guy to be his chief of staff, made sure that taxes continue to go down on the rich, even while we have a budget deficit that requires paying and a structural budget deficit for other members of our society in the state. And he picked this guy Lehman to be our chief economic development official in the state. I mean, it's unbelievable to even think about. But, you know, Lamont knew that in the state House of Representatives, that might not fly. It's sort of like in Congress. That's the more liberal House. So he decided to seek a confirmation hearing just in the Senate. He's able to do that. He thought that would go easier. So Lehman had his hearing yesterday. It mostly went smoothly because I don't think the senators really did their homework or cared or understood enough about white-collar criminals, people who prey on the poor, financial predators, and giving them the keys to government. And counting on them to rebuild our cities. So only one senator, though, did hang tough, New Haven's Martin Luty, and he matters because he's the president of the state Senate. After grilling Lehman, Looney would not guarantee that a vote will come up on this guy's nomination. But Lamont's people are hanging tough as well. They're really engineering a corporate takeover, financial industry takeover of our state government, of the rich, by the rich, for the rich. And we'll just see, we're going to hope that Looney prevails. And meanwhile, this guy Lehman, he said, I don't want to, he made so much money that by 41, he could afford not to work anymore and be super rich the rest of his life by stealing, cheating, and lying at Goldman Sachs, helping bring us the Great Recession, causing misery to families all over through his perfidy. He now says, well, you know what? I want to do good. I'm inspired. I'll work for free. Let me run economic development. I say that if you're not going to go to prison, instead of trying to now do more scams on behalf of the rich in our government, if you really want to do penance, go work at a soup kitchen. In the meantime, Steve Mendick, New Haven songwriter, has a call to arm on his new album. The album is called Enough. And in the spirit of that, I'd like to play his song, What Are You Gonna Do?
Cowards in the halls of Congress, bending to the will of the NRA. They really know there's an answer. Hiding plain sight, they always get their way with this crap about thoughts and you gonna do? I hope she didn't die from nothing. Look at my eyes, cause the blood is on your hands. This has become the new normal. Why does this happen in our freedom land? Once every 60 hours, we lose more children in their schoolyards. When is this gonna stop? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna save our children? What are you gonna do? No more guns. No more guns. No more prayers. No more prayers. No more silence. No more silence. No more tears. What you gonna do?
Steve Mednick, what you gonna do? Love that song, playing in high rotation here from Enough, his new album. And this is Paul Bass. Hello, it's Dateline New Haven. Just looking behind the headlines and some local stories today, playing some local music like Steve's there. And I like his album a lot. So we talked about crime and punishment and re-looking at that. I'd like to talk about two takes on business, new business, hopeful and not hopeful. First, I want to give a shout out to 3 high school students who are killing it in New Haven. Their name are Avion Downs, Sean Sufra, and Javion Hines. The first to go to Co-op High School, the other at Hill House. Since last year, they've been putting together a doo-wop group, teenagers playing doo-wop with a group called Composure. And people love the music. They've been playing all over. It happened through a group called Ice the Beef, where they get young people with good stuff to do after school and stuff. With working on projects to keep them out of violence. And in fact, one of their friends, Terry Keys, at 14 years old, was gunned down in New Hallville, and they try to do better. They had a big 3-day engagement at Bergamo's Theater last weekend. They've been playing on radio and other places. They're going out of Maryland and D.C. We've had technical difficulties today, so sadly I'm not going to be able to give you a listen to them. But they're Composure, Kompozure. You go to the Independent, New Haven Independent homepage, you'll see an article about the doo-wop trio with several videos, and you can listen to them there. Last night, Tuesday night, New Haven got a look at 14 exciting new businesses that are starting, small businesses, all about local food startups. A lot of them will be street food. And a lot of these folks are immigrants, bringing the foods from their native countries to New Haven. The food economy has been thriving in New Haven, from street food to restaurants, to to packaged or pre-made food that's sold retail. And last night's event was held at the State House instead of a concert. It was a presentation, a showcase. Tom Breen was there from New Haven Independent. You can read about it today. And he highlighted 3 of the 14 who give you a flavor of the flavors they're given. There's a guy named Eduardo De Lara. He's the founder and owner of Republic of Empanadas. That's the name of the company. He comes from the Dominican Republic, and he makes empanadas that are derived from popular recipes there, including like spinach and feta empanadas. Then there's a woman from Mauritius, and her husband's a Yale professor. She came with here to brought chutney from the kind of flavors they give there. And then Latina Acción, now Latina Acción, the immigrant rights group in town. A couple of their folks are also doing a startup called Peruvian immigrant named Vanessa Suarez of Salvadorian pupusas. I never heard those before. It's corn tortillas stuffed with chicken, pork, beans, and cheese, popular in El Salvador. And a bunch of them have a co-op they've started for Lula to raise money for social justice causes. And I say that this is a lot to celebrate as well to eat. And so we're saluting them here at New Haven Independent. But then there's another business that's starting up that's more problematic to people. We'll talk about that in a second. The question about where do you put a strip joint. But in the meantime, in the spirit of the new startups, I'm going to play a song by a local musical group, Suburban. And they have an album out called Everybody Knows. I'm going to play track 5 called If You Want to Fly.
Yeah. If you wanna fly, if you wanna fly, yeah. Oh, to fly high above the trees. Being in the plane to me is just a tease. The calm of the clouds, the feel of the breeze. Life from up here just seems at ease. And any location could be our destination. No long travel or endless waiting. Down there there's hate, down there there's panic. And even though they try to explain, I'll never understand it. So just keep your eyes fixed on the horizon. Before you said to land, now you're saying to fly. The slingshot, no strings, only thing you got is my shoulder. You're doubting hesitation, weighing down like boulders. Don't worry, we gon' get there. I told you, so just keep your eyes shut and hold on till it's over. So I spend every night with my eyes shut tight, praying that maybe one day I too could take flight. If you wanna fly with me, keep an open mind and ski. Open up your eyes and see. If you wanna fly with me. One night at my window sat a strange man. I asked his name and he told me he was Peter Pan. He started telling me about this place called Neverland, where you never age. And every day is a blank page, everything's an adventure. Oh, he said, I forgot to mention, I know that you will come, and please allow me to tell you why. If you choose to come with me, then I will teach you how to fly. I was so fucking excited I wanted to cry, but he disappeared and reemerged out of the corner of my eye, handed me a contract and a pen, told me to read and take my time and to sign on that dotted line. I said, nah man, I'm not trying to be famous. I'd rather be with my family and all remaining nameless, because to me this is the definition of flying. What he was doing was selling dreams and just lying. If you wanna fly with me, keep an open mind.
Fly by New Haven Suburban. Those are two brothers. One's the singer, sometimes opera, other R&B, and one's a rapper. The singer's Charlie Widmer. Fred F1 Widmer is the MC and rapper. That's off their album Everybody Knows. Well, we talked about a whole bunch of food startups that are starting to fly here on Dateline New Haven at WNHH-FM. Your home for community radio 103.5. Live streamed at newhavenindependent.org. Before we go, I want to tell you about another prospective new business, sort of a relocation of existing business in the news. It's meeting more resistance, not getting applauded the way those new startups were last night. And it's a business called Scores. It's a strip joint. It keeps changing its name off Hamilton Street in the Mill River District, they call it now, between Worcester Square and Fairhaven. And, someone got shot there in one of the previous names. But the question is, where do you put strip joints in New Haven? So they have to find a new home. They got put in a district where you usually find a few strip joints where it's not that much of a neighborhood. When they built the I-91 in the 50s and 60s, they divided the Wooster Square neighborhood in half. And on one side, closer to downtown, you got a residential area and business, retail. And on the other part where the strip joints go are old factories. It was the industrial district. So those factories closed, including a big clock factory that was over 100 years old. And it was there on the ground floor that you had the strip joint. But now New Haven's getting a lot of investment in apartments, including the old clock factories can be made into artist apartments and affordable housing. The strip joint needs to go. They went to court to try to stop it, but they lost. Also, right around the corner on Wallace Street, the factory is soon going to become new apartments. There are new apartments that came up newish up the block at Hamilton and Chapel. And a long block away, there actually is a community that people don't care about much in planning because it was public housing, Farnham Courts. So people grew up, they weren't actually at the strip joint. But now that got tens of millions of dollars in new investment, and that's a nice place now too. And I forget the new name, Mill River Crossing, the old Farnham Courts. So this is all around where that strip joint is. So they want to move, and they found a new spot on Wallace Street. But that is going to be in this district that's industrial, but now it's going to be a block away from Farnham Court, Mill River Crossing, a block or two away from where all these other apartments are. They need special permission, and they've gone to the zoning board asking for that permission, saying it's not going to cluster too many. It's not going to be close to residences. And the truth is, maybe there's a good sign in New Haven that it's getting harder to find a place where it seems to be okay to isolate a disreputable or business you don't want to have around kids and families. And I just want to read one comment, and he's going to call the new place Planet Venus. People don't think about this park that the highway also cut off part of Wooster Square from a neighborhood called Jocelyn Square, around a lovely park called Jocelyn Square Park. And there are condos and apartments that ring that park, and families live in there. And this would be just a block or two away from this place, less than 2 blocks. So Jocelyn Square Park mom wrote this comment. The proposed site for this new strip club is less than 500 feet away from my home. Maybe no one noticed the strip of condos at the end of the street. The condos that sit on a public park and house about 8 children. Not to mention the apartments that are even closer. I would guess about 100 to 200 feet away from the property. It also houses several children at elderly residents. This is a terrible idea, she writes. The neighborhood is still trying to recover from all the crime and violence that plagued us just a few years ago. Keep that mess on the other side of Grand Avenue. But as we noticed, that side of Grand Avenue also has families. In fact, a lot more families in Farnham Court, Mill River Crossing, and maybe not a lot of kids, but a lot of people living. Hundreds of apartments are going to be just 1 block away in the other direction. So I said this is a good problem to have in New Haven, which is that we don't have a good place to put a strip joint. We don't have the forgotten stretches. So that's my last take on it today on the news. Thanks to Harry Droz for working the commands today. This is Paul Bass. Thank you for joining us on Dateline New Haven. We're going to take it out with the Afro-Semitic Experience, performing I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free from the group CD A Plea for Peace. This is Paul Bass inviting you to fly free with us all day and all night long here at WNHH, New Haven's home for community radio.